Okay, today we're going to do a tutorial on simple proximity triggers in Unity. As you can see right here, I have my completed version, nothing too complicated. But to get started off, first we're going to go to File and we're going to create a new project. We're going to name that project something simple like Unity Proximity Test. And for this project, we're going to need to import the Character Controller Unity package. Create project. Alright, we don't need to skip this for now. What's that? Okay. Now that we have our new project, first thing we're going to do is go to Game Object, 3D Object, and create a new plane. Right over here, we're going to make sure that the plane is at position 0, 0, 0, and the scale is 1, 1, 1. Everything is right here, so we're going to leave that alone for now. Now we're going to create another 3D object. Oh, before that, we're going to name this plane Spawn Plane, because this is where our main character is going to spawn. After that, we're going to create another plane, and we're just going to give it a name like Second Plane. It's not super important. And we're going to want to position that at, 0, 0, 18. Zoom out a little bit. You can see the plane right there. Get this into a better position. That's good. And we're going to make sure it's scaled at 1, 1, 1. Now, we're going to go to the standard assets, character controllers, and we're going to find the first person character controller, and we're going to drag that into the hierarchy. We're going to name the first person controller player. And we're going to position player at 0, 1, 0. So he's right in the center of the very first spawn plane that we created. And then right now we can test out the scene by hitting play, making sure everything's working properly. Alright, right there you can see, walks around fine. You can try to jump and you can't make it to the other plane. Okay. Next we're going to create a trigger that, so when you enter it, the character will respawn at the start of the scene. And to do this, we're just going to go to Game Object, and we're going to create an empty object. And we're going to name this Death Plane, or Death Trigger. It's a better name. We're going to position this at 0, 0, 9, not 0, 0, 9, but 0, negative 3, 9. And we're going to add a new component, physics, and we're going to add a box collider. We're going to change the size of the box collider, 30 on the X, 1 on the Y, and 60 on the Z. So as you can see, maybe that's a little too big. We'll go down to 50. As you can see, the plane encompasses all below the entire area of play. We're going to check this is trigger box to ensure that when the player enters, it will treat it as a trigger, not like a solid object. And then we're going to go down to standard assets. Let's create a new folder and call it scripts. Now here in scripts we're going to create a new JavaScript file. And we're going to name it DeathScript. Alright. And then we are going to open this file. And what we're going to do is we're going to add in some code here. Now I wrote this code earlier, so I'm just going to copy and paste it in here real quick. As you can see here, we have a function called onTriggerEnter. The onTriggerEnter function is specific for Unity triggers and will always be used if you want to call a specific function when you're entering the trigger. It always has to have the same name, one of Unity's built-in functions. Now in this one, we're passing in the other collider. We're not going to actually need that, but what we're going to do is we're going to go to Application, Load Level, and we're going to reload the currently loaded level so that when we pass into the trigger area, the level will restart and we'll be back at the beginning. Alright, so we'll save this and we'll go back to Unity and we'll take this script that we just created and we're going to drag it onto the death trigger. Now we can play the scene and test it out again. Still move around the same. Now though, when we jump off, we restart right where we started for the first time through. So now that we've done that, let's figure out a way to have the player able to cross this gap. What we're going to want to do for this is we're going to create a platform that moves into place when the player approaches the edge and that moves back down when the player leaves the edge. So for this, we're going to go to Assets, Create, Game Objects, 3D Objects, Cube. And we're going to take this cube and we're going to position it at 0, -3, 9. And we're going to change the scale to to 4. Keep the 1, 4, 1, 2. And that will be good for the player to be able to jump on to reach the other side. It's exactly in the middle of the two platforms. Alright, so now we have our platform. We can change the name to cube or to platform or keep it cube, whichever you prefer. Now what we need to do is we need to have a place for the platform to go to. So we're going to create another empty object and we're going to call it target position. Since we only want the position to go straight up and down, we're just going to put it at 0, 0, 9, which is right in the middle on level with the player. But we also want it to go back down, so we have to create another empty object, and we have to call it start position. And we're going to put that one at the exact same position as the cube, which is 0, -3, 9. And that is where the cube will move up and down to. Now, what we need to do is we need to add a trigger area. The trigger area will be separate from both of these, so what we'll do is we'll create another empty object and we'll call it move trigger, something simple. And we're going to place that at the exact center just for convenience sake. So we're going to put it at 0, 0, 9. What we're going to do is we're going to add a component to this one, physics box collider. Now to get this to work, we're going to change the size of the box collider to, let's see, 9. Let's see, 9, 9, and 18. No. 14. So that way when the player approaches the edge, make sure the player's right in there, the platform will move up. And the player will be able to jump on the platform to the other side. Be sure to check this is trigger. And that's all we have to do there. Now we need to create a new script. And we'll call it movement script. Ah, my leg fell asleep. That's going in the recording. We'll open this up. This is another one I have also already done, so I'm just going to copy and paste it over and alright. The formatting here is a little off, but the idea is there. We have this start position, which is we're going to assign as the start position empty object we created before, and the target position, the same thing, and the cube, the game object that we created. We're going to have to add that to the script so we know what we're moving. And we're also going to be checking this value right here to determine whether the player is inside the trigger area or has left the trigger area. So this specifically will go down here to the onTriggerEnter function, which when the player enters, all we're doing is we're setting that value to true. And onTriggerExit, which is another Unity built-in function for triggers, we're just taking the inTrigger and we're setting it to false. Now, most of what's going on here is happening in the update function. We're using this step to determine how fast it moves right here. So we're setting this value, and this is how fast the platform is going to move. And all we're doing here is, as the update function is being called, we're checking if the player is in the trigger. We're going to take the cube's position and we're going to move it towards, we're going to use a vector3.moveTowards function. We're passing in the cube's current position, and then we're moving it to the target position at the speed that we set. And if the player is not in the trigger, we're going to be moving it back down to the start position. Alright, let's save this. And let's take the movement script and we'll attach it to our move trigger. Alright, now what we have to do here is we have to select the move trigger, and now we have this script area where it describes the variables that are in that script file. So pretty straightforward with these ones. We take the start position and we just select this right here. We go over and we select start position, the start position, and we take the target position and we select the target position, and the cube or the game object, it automatically starts off on assets here. We just go to scene and we select the cube. Now we can just test the scene out. Everything's just about the same here, but when we walk forward, the platform rises up. We can jump onto it, okay? We can jump over to the other side, look back, and as we leave, the platform goes down. And this will work in any fashion, however long you approach it, leave it. So yeah, that is my basic proximity trigger tutorial. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. and I'll be happy to answer them for you. If you'd like something a little bit more complicated, just let me know and I'll work on it. Alright, thank you.